Bring to us your poetry from inspiration sought. Come join us with your images, your verses, words, and thought. From here, we'll share your balladry with those who do not know it. This platform's here for you to show the world that you're the poet.
Welcome to episode 71 of You're the Poet, the poetry podcast featuring you. I'm host Matt Burgio, and I'm here with co-host Phil Burgio. Phil, welcome.
Anytime. Love it here.
Here at You're the Poet, our purpose is to share our love of poetry with the world and invite you to do the same. We want to start by saying thank you to all of our listeners who have made You're the Poet possible. We hope you enjoy the podcast and the poetry that is shared. If you've written any poetry and you want to share it here, whether you just have an interest in poetry, consider yourself an amateur poet, or are a professional poet with published works, contact us to be a guest on our future episode. Our featured guest for this episode of You're the Poet is Michael Jarvis, who is joining us from South Manchester, England. Michael, welcome to You're the Poet.
Welcome. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, we're glad you could join us, and we look forward to your contribution to the episode.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Definitely. To start things off, I'm going to share a classic poem for the episode. This poem is by English poet and soldier Wilfred Owen. He lived from March 18th, 1893 to November 4th, 1918. As I mentioned, he was an English poet and soldier, and he's most noted for his war poetry. And much of his war poetry stood out in contrast to the other war poets because he talked about the horrors of the trenches and gas warfare versus the more patriotic poems that many of the earlier war poets were writing about. Unfortunately, Owen was killed in action on November 4th, 1918. Just a week before the armistice there in World War I at the age of 25. So the poem I'm going to be sharing today is called Greater Love. Red lips are not so red as the stained stones kissed by the English dead. Kindness of wooed and wooer seems shame to their love pure. O love, your eyes lose lure when I behold eyes blinded in my stead. Your slender attitude trembles not exquisite like limbs knife-skewed, rolling and rolling there, where God seems not to care, till the fierce love they bear cramps them in death's extreme decrepitude. Your voice sings not so soft, though even as wind murmuring through rafted loft. Your dear voice is not dear, gentle and evening clear, as theirs who none now hear, now earth has stopped their piteous mouths that coughed. Heart, you were never hot, nor large, nor full like hearts made great with shot. And though your hand be pale, paler are all which trail your cross through flame and hail. Weep, you may weep, for you may touch them not. Wilfred Owen.
It's kind of deep. This is our second World War I soldier that we read a poem from. First one was American, Joyce Kilmer, Trees. Nothing to do with the war, just a poem.
Yeah, and you can definitely see there how, as I noted at the beginning, that his poetry goes a little deeper into some of the horrors of the war versus just being patriotic. So he's talking about love, but sort of in this realm of almost looking at a battlefield with the dead soldiers and the bloodstains and such.
I've only become aware of Wilfred Owen in the last couple of years, but do find that one quite, it's a somber one. It's quite steeped in sort of death and loss, if you know what I mean. And, it's like wanting the difference between sort of living and the effects of war and stuff. I do find that one quite a beautifully poem, so to speak.
Yeah, it definitely has a beauty about it, even despite the sort of somber topic there.
Yeah.
And I just discovered Wilfred Owen researching for this episode. I have just a bunch of random poetry files that came from some collection on my computer, and so I was just going through and looking at different poets and stumbled across his work. All right, well, from here I'm going to turn it over to Phil to share his poem for the episode.
Okay, this poem is called A Nod to Rene. I write poetry, therefore I am. I create first with paper and pen. I can conjure up 1,000 words. I write of mountains and of birds. I bear to all my heart and soul. I write of travel and wondrous things. I write tales of love, of grief. The words are chaotic in my mind, but I can sort them out with time. I am a poet, therefore I am. Philip Burgio.
All right, thank you.
And listeners out there, you can pick up on the Rene. Put it in the remarks. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, it was my first thought when I read it, the whole I write, therefore I am, versus the I think, therefore I am. And I like that whole message and topic here in the poem.
Yeah, I kind of really like it a lot, really. It's kind of like the kind of poem I really do go for. It's kind of blunt in a sense. It sort of goes straight to the point. It's like a statement, therefore I am kind of thing and stuff like that. It's really like a lot of the poems I do kind of like reading and stuff. It's just sort of straight to the point, really. It's kind of like, like it hits you and stuff.
Yeah, I like that aspect too. And it really, of course, all of us here are poets. And I like how you describe that. We can all relate to that finding your voice as a poet.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And it's just the way it's just so sort of there. I always think a poem should take you from the first word to the last word. It should take you to another place. And when it's really like that and it's just straight in your face, but it also takes you to another place, it's just really, I really like that a lot. That's what I really like about poetry the most and stuff, when it's sort of, it's there for you and it just flows with it.
Thank you guys for your positive comments.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, but I really like that one a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, from here we'll move to my poem for the episode. Just a little background on this. I've got some friends who decided to try out the foster care program in their town or city. And so they had their first foster child that they've been fostering and caring for, this sweet little girl. And they're kind of nearing the time now where the child has to go back to the mother, to their natural parent. And so that has some sadness and joy for these foster parents as they've really gotten attached to the girl and have helped her explore and do some new things, especially at a young age. But at the same time, understanding that, she's getting a chance to go back to her biological mother. So this poem was inspired by that. It's called Sunshine and Tears. A short moment in time, forging memories for years. A sweet little gift, bringing sunshine and tears. She brightened your lives, two parents, both green, who discovered new love and what more love could mean. The light that she carries grew stronger with you, through caring and structure that helped her to bloom. They say that all good things must come to an end, but love's never ending and darkness transcends. For though there may come a time you must part, you'll all hold each other forever in heart. An age-old conundrum to which love adheres, the forming of bonds brings both sunshine and tears. Matthew Burgio.
Good poem. I could understand. I could feel what the foster parents were feeling.
I really like that poem. I like the way it sort of opens and it sort of closes with sunshine and trees and stuff.
Mm.
And, the way it sort of goes on about brighten your lives and stuff. I actually wrote that down as you were saying it. It's like I really like that as well, a lot.
Obviously, I can't write from my own experience, but I just tried to imagine, just from talking with them, the experience that they had, and that I've kind of seen some of the stuff, on social media or whatnot, and as they've experienced life with this child, and being new parents, they haven't had a kid of their own, although they're expecting here in the near future, and it was kind of their first taste of being parents, and so that's got to be a special time. And I was just sort of imagining the joy that brought, but then also the having to let go. And I felt like there's a couple different ways you can take that even though this was written from the realm of like foster parents returning the child, that there could be other meanings for parents who have either been separated from a child or whatnot.
Found it quite deep as well, also, your poem, by the way.
Thank you.
It's like it give a lot of a bit of a sense of sort of completeness. I felt that's kind of the sense I kind of got from it. It was really sort of deeply and stuff like that. But now I know the meaning behind it. It's sort of see it in a different sort of way and stuff, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of poetry, is the reader can get a variety of interpretations from it as they read it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, from here, we're going to turn to our guest portion of the episode. Michael, you're the poet. Show us what you've got.
Thank you very much. The first one I'm going to read is called Long Walk on a Beach. And I written when I was in Australia, and I was actually sat on Bondi Beach, and I realised that there was someone I really loved, and it's just sort of that hit you like a light bulb. And my way to communicate and stuff is to sort of to write a poem. So I wrote this girl a poem, and I sent it to her, but then I've lost the poem. So I had to rewrite it. So I think the one I've written is better, but I don't know, because I can't remember what the first one was like. I just remember the title, Long Walk on a Beach. So, okay, this is Long Walk on a Beach. Long walk on a beach with the sand between our feet, our bodies withstanding heat, waves crashing, indiscreet, our eyes controlling every heartbeat. A walk to the other shore, see what summer can explore, from the ocean floor to wanting more. I don't need anyone anymore. Now we have washed ashore. Long walk on the beach, the sun blazing down its heat, water rushing under our feet. When life takes a back seat, without you, I feel incomplete. Let's make tonight a treat. Footsteps in the sand, walking till we hit grassland. Everything is just as planned, burying our head in the sand. As the sand gives itself to the sea, I hope it's just you and me. Holding hands, time only love understands. Underneath blue skies, each breath we take, moments we cannot fake. Moments last forever, watching hearts grow together. Watching together forever. Michael Jarvis. Thank you.
All right, thank you for sharing.
I kind of like the rhyming part. I'm old-fashioned. I like to rhyme my poems. It's like a puzzle. It takes some thought. I mean, free verse is okay. I've done free verse. But I like to, when I go to rhyme a poem or something like that, it's like a puzzle to me. It takes more time and more thought. I appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%. I do think also it keeps the sort of the reader there. Like when it flows, it's rhyming, it does keep the reader intact into the meaning and stuff.
Right. It flowed well, too.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to make a similar comment, not that just I like the rhyme, but the flow of the rhyme, that it has that sort of flow and that feature, and especially when you're talking about walking along the beach, the way your rhyme scheme and flow of the poem works, I could kind of picture the waves of the ocean as they come in and out. Like it sort of has that like in and out flow, what the way your rhyme scheme is, so I like that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Michael, got another one for us?
Yeah, sure. I've got one called Forever Home. I think it's another sort of recurring theme. I think it's a recurring theme in a lot of poetry. It's about love and being unlucky in love and kind of act like I'm in the 40s now, so you kind of want to settle down, but I've never found the one. And it's kind of like questioning myself, or maybe it was questioning someone in particular. I wasn't sure and stuff, but I have the title for it, feels like for ages, and I could never get it to work. And then I got it to work and I was dead happy with it. So this is called Forever Home. Can you find my heart? It's forever home. It's been years, it's been on its own, always put in the friend zone, wishing to find its own home. Since you've been gone, I've lost my throne. You said you've helped me find a forever home, one that I'm not stuck sharing alone. You share a house and build a home. Now you've gone, I've been left to roam. Will my love find a forever home, one with windows and blinds, garden and a view all primed, with a little beehive behind, where all my thoughts are inclined. You said we can build our forever home by the mountains or by the city of Rome, but now I'm just sitting waiting by my iPhone for you to call me out the friend zone. Can you find my heart a forever home, one with love that we have both known, made of bricks, concrete and stones, somewhere it won't be disowned, be loved and not outgrown? Can you find my heart its forever home? Would you be so kind to find my heart a place in your home? Michael Jarvis.
Thank you.
I can picture the house, the way you want it described. Good poem. Good poem.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, nice rhyme scheme and flow there. Like that little concept of the beehive behind, like Phil mentioned, you guys are picturing the poem and the scene that you're setting.
Thank you.
One of the things I was going to say, too, is when you were talking at the beginning of the first poem, that sort of remind me of myself when you talked about, sometimes you don't know what to say, and like your way of saying something is to write a poem, whether it's to a girl or whatever. And I was like, and through my years, it's kind of been the same for me, that I express myself much better through poetry than I do sometimes in just my normal everyday life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. I never said this when we were talking emails, but about 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with autism, basically. So with that, I've always struggled to kind of get my thoughts out, get my feelings out and explain things to people. It's always been a bit of a challenge. And because I've been writing poetry since I think I was 13 or 14, it's kind of like what I've known. So to sort of express myself, I've kind of written about it and stuff.
Very cool. It reminds me of I think it's like episode 26 with Jacob Piercy and talking about being neurodivergent and what that means for a poet and whatnot.
Yeah, sometimes it can be quite difficult and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it brings it out and stuff. And I think me being autism, I think it's helped me a lot, like with my writing in some respects. It's helped me because I struggle to get things out and get emotions out and work things out in the head. So with that, I channel it and I've been writing. And I think with my autism, it's helped so much in that regard.
Oh, that's great. And poetry is definitely a wonderful outlet for that. for being a way to express yourself in ways where you may not otherwise be able to do so.
Yeah, 100%.
You say you've been writing poetry since you were 13?
I think it was 13 or 14. I went to school in a place called Wivenshaw in South Manchester, which was kind of not the best place to grow up. It wasn't exactly like South Central or something, but it wasn't great. And then when I got to like 13 or 14, me and my friends, it was like we discovered the opposite sex. And it was like, how do you talk to them? So my friend Andy, who I do still speak to occasionally, said, I know, let's start a band. And, we can meet all the women we want, more girls we want. And we were like, yeah, that's a great idea. And at the time, I knew nothing about music. I was like, I don't know. I was just getting into the Smiths and things like that. And my uncle loved Terry Hoare, if you've heard of him, the singer. So I didn't know much about music. I only know a bit. So I said, I'll write the lyrics. So that night I went home from school and I wrote a poem, and it was based on Romeo and Juliet. It's called World Party. I still have it somewhere, but it takes me ages to find. And I'd written it and I was like, I'm actually pretty good at this, not blowing my own trumpet. I was like, oh my God, I'm quite good at this. Then I carried on. I carried on writing and things like that. But because I didn't really have that support of my parents and stuff like that, I just never told anyone. I just kept writing. And it led from there really and stuff. And obviously, like I said, my uncle, who was like a father to me, he was into Terry Hoare, who was like a poet with his lyrics and stuff like that. And also at the same time, I was listening to Morrissey and stuff with his sort of, the way he sort of merging like 60s kitchen sink with his lyrics and stuff. And I was quite influenced by that. And that sort of spurred me on, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, because I didn't do well in school, obviously I didn't take it up, and it was just more of a hobby. And then I think I got to 40 and I thought, I've got all these poems, these words, and they're just sort of gathering dust. I've got to do something. And then I got in contact with a publisher and I got my first book out called Love for Rent. And after that, I just thought, well, you only live once. So I just went public on Facebook, said, I've got a book of poetry out, this is it. And I was really worried about what people were saying. Everyone was great. Everyone was like, Mike, that's really good, proud of you. And I was so surprised about it. And I was like, oh, why have I hid this for 20 odd years? So
that's awesome.
These people that have bought the book and they said, I'm not into poetry, but buying your book as a friend, support you. I've bought your book and I really like it. And I've been reading a bit of poetry. So it's a bit like, wow.
That's great. So tell us the name of the book again and where we can get it.
It's called Love for Rent. I think it's currently on Amazon still, but I don't think there's many copies left. At the minute, I'm nearly finished writing the second one. I think it's about a week away from being finished, or maybe 2 weeks. And that's called Melatonin Dreams.
Okay. When that one comes out, definitely let us know. We'll help you promote it and publicize it and share that on our stuff.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it'll be out in late spring or summer or something.
Wonderful. We'll keep an eye out for that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much.
Can you give us another one?
Yeah, okay. Sometimes, like when I'm writing, I get like one line. I think of one line and it will come to me in my head like a light bulb. A lot of the time when I'm half asleep and then I'll think of the line and go, oh, that's a really good line. Then I've got to write it down. Otherwise, I forget. And about 2 years ago, I thought of this line, or maybe I've heard it somewhere, called Strangers with Memories. And I think we've all got that where you've met someone, and you're a stranger. You've got to know them. You fell in love. You've created memories like days out, holidays. And then for whatever reason, you've broke up. And then that's it. You kind of don't speak, but you're still there. And now they're strangers with memories. So that's kind of where it comes from. So this is called Strangers with Memories. Hello, do you remember me? I was the guy you left in a different place. You just popped up on Facebook memories of a time we used to chill. I just wanted to check in and say, I still think to you. When the world turned in our favour, days together felt like a saviour. It's like nothing could break us. When we met, we was reading the same chapter, but different pages. Now we're reading different books, different stories, different characters. Strangers when our worlds collided, turned upside down, subsided. Now we are strangers with memories. Our lifestyles changed and divided. These words seem misguided. We had the kind of love you write poems about, the kind you find in a Jane Austen novel, the kind of life Rennie Weatherspoon stars in films about. Strangers when we met, to lovers planning memories, to not even saying so long, to strangers with memories. I know we had some good times together. I know we had some bad times together. But I know we had times together. But maybe we'll meet again in another life and we'll be together. Michael Jarvis.
All right. Thank you.
I like that line about good times, bad times. For some reason, the little 3 lines kind of jumped out at me.
Yeah, I always thought that bit didn't go and I was a bit unsure whether to keep that in. But I think you do have good times and bad times with a lot of people.
And just times.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
I enjoyed the whole concept of this poem because I think we've all, as you go through different phases in life, your relationships sort of go in and out or change, and not necessarily good or bad, but they just change as you do life and as you change. And Facebook has been an interesting thing, especially for us older people. And I know Phil can relate to this as well, where sometimes social media has given us a chance to reconnect with people that we haven't spoken to or seen in years. Like you said, the relationships change as well. I know people that I was really close to years ago that I barely talk to or know anymore. And so I like this whole concept. I like that whole concept of, we used to be reading the same chapter.
Yeah, but now we're reading different pages, different books and stuff like that. I think that's what life is, not being deep about it. We all have chapters in life and things like that. And sometimes people are there for a few chapters. Sometimes people are there for the whole book. Some people are there for the next book, or you don't know. And I think that's what being a bit deeper, that's what kind of is with those people and friends and family and stuff.
Yeah, and wonderful job of capturing that in this poem.
Thank you very much. It means a lot.
All right, well, before we wrap things up, is there anything you want to say about poetry or your poetic journey?
No, not really. Just I wished, like I said before, I wish I was more open about my poetry and I'd gone more with it when I was younger. And I think if anyone listening to this, I think they should sort of do that, not sort of sit back and think, oh, but, people might judge me and things like that. People should just go for it, really.
Definitely. And I was going to ask, too, is there any social media or website things you want to promote for your poetry? I don't know if you have anything out there.
Yeah, I've got a page called Mike's Corner, and that's where I post most of my poetry and stuff. That's where it all goes out and stuff.
Okay, we'll share a link for that as well for our listeners.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for that.
As we continue on, I got a little bit of feedback for this episode. The first is about episode 68 with Tara Hicks. This is from @LorisLoren on YouTube. Fantastic episode. Always love Tara's poetry. And then on YouTube as well, @Vincent080888 writes, "You're a bunch of nerds and I'm here for it. Great episode as usual." So thank you guys for your feedback there. I've also got some feedback from episode 69 with Adda Shur. This is from LoisCone3267 on YouTube. Say, loved episode 69. Brilliant on every level. I've also got some feedback from Marianne Powers for episode 69 with Adda Shur. She writes, "In this episode, I found that I needed to hear a lot of the poetry, and the delivery of Adda's poems brought you into the world of the poem. The variety of styles and topics were engaging. Matt's poem about the peepers that were set to song on the spot brought it to life. Lovely job, Adda. Thank you all for sharing and bringing so much imagery." So thank you everyone for the feedback. As we wrap things up, we want to let our listeners know we're grateful that you've taken the time to tune in. We hope you're enjoying the poetry shared here, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with others. If you would like to support You're the Poet and what we're doing here, there are a couple of ways to help. You can find links on our website to our Buy Me a Coffee patron site, as well as our You're the Poet store, where you can buy You're the Poet merchandise and share your love of poetry with the world. Thank you for your support as we continue to grow. Please check out our website and various social media outlets to keep up to date with You're the Poet. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our website, you'rethepoet.com. Until next time, Phil, thanks for joining us.
Anytime. Enjoyed this.
Michael, thank you for being our guest.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this, actually, by the way.
That's great. Yeah, thank you to you both. Goodbye.